Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your to your home, and I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it, so I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hi, everybody. This is Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. I am in the studio with my husband, John Morris, and today we have a very special guest in the studio with us, David Moore. Thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you. I'm so blessed to be here. This is going to be great.
David is a great friend of ours, and we attend St. Louis Family Church together, and he is a client of mine. I've been working with him for some time now on nutrition, and his experience with nutrition has just inspired me. And whenever I work with folks that I feel like have encountered, just a real sincere change, not only in their physique, not only in their health, but in their thinking and in the way that they're like actually equipping themselves, I really like to bring them on the show, because I just think what you can do is you can inspire someone to believe that it's possible to actually get beyond where they are. And I think sometimes people get just so stuck in the mentality of, I've done it before, I've tried it before, I've messed up so many times, there's just no way I can get past it. And maybe someone literally right now as we speak is in the pit of, I was doing so well, but then I've, once again, I've messed it up. And I just would love to have you on today to just talk through the process of what it's taken for you to lose the weight that you've lost up to this point, but really to go through this mental transformation. I think that that's really the bigger picture thing that I'd like to discuss today. Of course, the numbers are great, but it's really the transformation. And, my husband sits next to you having lost 100 pounds. He's lost the numbers too. But what the bigger thing was with John is the experience and the way he transformed as an individual through that experience. So I guess first things first, I know I truly wholeheartedly felt led by God to help you with nutrition. And it's always interesting when you feel like God's called you to do that, because you don't really want to walk up to someone and say, so by the way,
right.
I think I should probably help you change your food. But it's like God just aligned the right thing and for us to be able to work together. But, can you give us just a little bit of a picture of where you were when you started, how you were feeling, where the shape of your body was, and just overall where your health was?
Well, I started this, I was about 290 pounds, and it was really the heaviest that I've ever been.
Right.
I got seriously injured. I herniated a disc in 2010, and it really just created a lot of pain and discouragement and letdown, and ultimately struggled with some depression, because I would try to go forward, I would try to lose weight, but recognizing the how powerful that sugar addiction was in my life, I needed someone like you to step in to help get me unstuck.
Right.
And the best way I could put it is I was just spinning my tires, stuck in the couch, full of inflammation, full of pain. I sort of had this fuzzy vision of what I could accomplish, but when you guys came along and your team, it helped put the four-wheel drive in that first step that it took to say, okay, enough is enough. I want to get out of this couch. I want to start applying myself to the power of healthy nutrition.
Right.
Because the sick cycle that I was in was I was medicating on sugar.
Yes.
To try to distract myself from the pain. But It wasn't until I came alongside with you guys, and you guys were so kind to help me get this going. That's when I started to get a clear vision for my health. That's when I started to get a clear vision for what I can actually do. And then I was able to take the first step, recognizing if I counter this pain with discipline, it's going to be very hard at first, but I know that I can get to this vision that I have before me. And your plan and your team and your culture really helped facilitate that, where I could finally get some traction in my life in this area, because I had moments where I would hit the gym and I'd get discouraged because of the pain, but I was using sugar to medicate the pain, and it was just bad. I had to get to the root of the issue, which was the inflammation.
Right.
Yes. So that's
unfortunately, the sugar just keeps continuing to cycle more and more and more inflammation. You just can't really get caught back up again. So I know that you have made that actual comment before, where you've said counter pain and inflammation with discipline. And at the end of the day, it's, if you want to get out of that cycle of pain, that's truly what has to happen. It's not just about the food. I mean, you really have to start stretching, you have to start foam rolling, you have to start doing mobility exercises. So you do also have to have the discipline for the movement, but then there's most definitely the discipline. You can have all of the discipline in the world for the movements, but if the discipline isn't there for the food, you just won't reduce inflammation. The body will stay in a cycle and it just won't heal.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing that I try to explain to people is, I had a heart attack in my 20s. And I was 100 pounds overweight, and I worked out 6 days a week. So everybody thinks like, okay, I'm going to kill myself in the gym. Like, I'm willing to hop on the treadmill. I'm willing to push the weights. I'm willing to lift heavy. They'll give it all to that. They're all in on that. But getting someone to go all in on the food is much harder because of, like David just said, there's an addiction there. And it's true, whether it be sugar, whether it be that you grew up feeding yourself when you had a bad day. And what I found for myself when I had to lose my weight and get myself back into a state of health was I realized that I had conditioned myself to never get away from bad food. And what I mean by that is if I had a really great day, I deserved to have a cup of ice cream because I had a great day, I accomplished something. But if I had a really bad day, well, then I should get to have some ice cream because it'll make me feel better because I had a bad day. So when am I not having ice cream?
Right.
And I'm just using that as an example. Yeah. It could be anything here, but what happens is all of a sudden you realize there's really this small median of time that you're not either having a good or a bad day. Not many people say I had a neutral day today.
Right.
They're having one or the other. And so that if you are feeding yourself or allowing yourself these substances on both ends of that spectrum, it's going to be really hard to overcome that.
Right. There's just a process that you have to go through in order to sort of rid the body of inflammation. And I would consider it an anti-inflammatory diet, and that was the initial approach that we took with you.
Yep.
And so tell us a little bit about those first steps and just the process and just kind of how you felt, all that you went through in the very beginning when you started making changes.
Yeah, I think even prior to that, when I was in this moment of just being stuck, and I just have to mention, like, I asked the Lord, God, will you help me with this?
Right.
I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how I could get the power in my life to change this element of my life that I really was discouraged. I look in the mirror and be like, I know I need to change.
Yeah.
I know I have the power out there in me, out there to help with this accountability thing. So just the intersection, how God brought this all together really was the catalyst to do the first step. And I just was at a point where enough was enough.
Right.
It was like I was truly, you hear the phrase, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes.
And the first step was recognizing I needed help. It was like, okay, I've tried to do this on my own, but I keep taking one step forward and 3 steps back. It was like just a sick cycle that I couldn't get out of. And then the first step was really humbling myself and saying, you know what, Debbie, I do need help. I accept and receive your help. And then that's what helped open up the door to take a first solid step, because then I started to get a vision to where I was going. And then I was starting to see all the steps that it took to get there, but it's just step by step to get there. Yes. So,
and I think it's so important that a person be able to just finally come to the conclusion, and I don't care who that person is. I mean, maybe you're trying to put muscle on, maybe you just need to lower your cholesterol or get better blood pressure, or maybe you need to lose 100 pounds, but coming to the conclusion that you are not an expert in this department, you have an area that you are an expert in, and we will come to you for that area. But at the end of the day, don't expect you to be able to do the best job at this, hire someone that really can help you, that can guide you, that can support you. Because what happens is you are put on a balanced plan, and that plan should make it to where you're not starving all the time. You're not getting terrible headaches. You're not feeling nauseous every day. Your blood pressure is actually getting to a normal rate. Your blood sugar starts to stabilize. All these things start to happen because the person that you're working with actually knows what they're doing, and they're able to really set you on a track for success with the numbers, but truly for success with how you feel. That is what we do at Integrity. Yes, of course, we want to help you lose weight, but what we really want to help you do is to feel great. We want the health to be first and foremost, paramount, top of the list always. And we have a 6-month nutrition program that we will work with, and that's what David has done so far. For more information on that 6-month nutrition program, please take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com. Or for information on a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, please give us a call at 636-299-2208. And for nutrient-dense, gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your doorstep, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. Great to be back with you. This is Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. I'm in the studio with my husband, John Morris, and David Moore, and we're talking a little bit about David's experience going through the nutrition program at Integrity Training Systems. We're just talking about those first steps, David, and just kind of, how did you feel during, let's just say, that first 30 days? I kind of consider that an anti-inflammatory diet, more Mediterranean-based, and a low histamine diet. But the process of elimination, just what did you go through?
Yeah, there was definitely a withdrawal sort of element from the sugar. There was definitely a culture shift in my social circles.
Okay.
A dynamic there that everyone, before I started your program, I let everybody know in my life that I'm doing this program and I'm going to do everything that you tell me to do.
Okay.
In regards to eating.
That's so good.
Some things like my local emos knew me by name.
Right.
Okay. Like,
Amen.
That was a habit. Like,
Yeah.
I literally, especially during deep quarantine COVID, man, I was ordering emos every day.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was a habit. That was something where these people knew me by name.
Yep.
I'm not going to be talking to them for a while.
Right.
That's just part of this gig. So I knew all in. I had to be all in.
Yes.
On
Right.
that first step was recognizing the pain. And someone told me one time that success is the ability to bear pain. And it stuck with me. Somebody told me that years ago. So there was an element to that where I just knew this is not going to be easy.
Right.
To cut off some bad habits, to recognize that I had this this emotional connection to food and the sugar aspect of stuff.
Yes.
And I'll make one point too, because I was eating so poorly for so long that I was starting to experience some feelings I haven't had in a long time. And I realized these feelings of growth improvement areas or something, I would distract them with eating. So I
Right.
wasn't going to these quick go-to, treating sugar like a drug. I wasn't doing that to myself. That I started to experience some emotional growth too.
Yes, yes.
Which
Right.
I was not expecting that.
And I recall that from the very first follow-up that we had. So, we had our first session, you went out, you did the work for a month, you came back. And in that first follow-up, I recall you speaking on that.
Yeah.
And you saying, okay, I just didn't realize, in all of my difficult situations, I wasn't turning to the Lord first. I was turning to food first.
Right.
And then that sort of limited your ability to actually hear from the Holy Spirit
Totally.
at the level at which you
Yeah.
needed to hear from him, because you're really so bogged down and so fogged up by the food that you're actually not even really getting a clear perspective of what your next steps really should be, no matter what the situation
Right.
is. But you found yourself actually able to connect and like actually go deeper during that month, even probably through the muck of the little bit of a detox. I recall you telling me
Yep.
that you just felt like you were getting a deeper connection. You've always had a deep connection with the Lord. I know you have great faith, but isn't it amazing how food can actually be used as a tool,
Yes.
like a sincere tool to really keep us off our A game,
Right.
to always kind of stay in somewhat of this reactive sort of lukewarm state where, yes, of course we have great faith and we really believe God for things, but then when the real shock of life hits us, our first move isn't to head into deep prayer, or it isn't to head into the Word. It's like to head into the refrigerator.
Yeah.
That's our escape.
I think the way I like to explain it to people without getting too scientific is you just point out that it's chemistry. So when you look at the human body and you look at the brain and you look at why we act the way we act and choose to do the things we choose to do, it's chemistry. You start talking about neurotransmitters and how your brain fires. So if you've ever dealt with anxiety or depression, or like myself, I'm bipolar, if you've dealt with high levels of those or even any of those in an extremity, you ask yourself, like, okay, why is that happening? And what that is that is a chemical imbalance. The problem is that most people have some form of an imbalance. There's not many people walking the earth that are 100% chemically balanced. And so you have to think about your brain and you have to think about your action almost like a pond. And every time you put something into that pond, it's like throwing a stone into a pond, you create a ripple effect. And so people always find it so hard to believe that food affects that chemistry, that food can have that effect. And the way I break it down to people is, if you digest a pill with chemicals in it that is designed to affect your brain, why can a little bitty pill have an effect on your brain that is so strong, but you don't believe that everything else that you consume that's digested and brought into your body the exact same way can't do something similar?
Right.
And so what happens is the sugar becomes self-medication.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did. When I first met Debbie, is not only was I addicted to sugar, I was addicted to alcohol, and I was also addicted to painkillers and mood stabilizers. And so I took all of this stuff in an attempt to stabilize my own mind. But I don't know how to do that. Just like we spoke about earlier when David said he had to come to you for the assistance in the nutrition, you need to go to someone for the assistance in figuring out how you medicate. You don't do it yourself. But the world is walking around medicating and trying to chemically balance with sugar, with food. And it's literally on a subconscious level. You might think, yes, I want ice cream. Yes, I want pizza. But what are you actually looking for? There's something going on a chemical level that is trying to change itself from within.
That's true.
And that's where the addiction comes from. And that's where the detox that David's talking about comes from as well.
Yeah, I started to just experience the first 30 days, even 60 days, was a major transition. Like I said, like the culture, my friends, my social atmosphere, everything was like quite a transition. But once I started to experience the clarity, mental clarity, the spiritual connection, feeling good in my body, like excited to wake up the next morning, to have an effective day that really makes it count. I was like, okay, there is no turning back after this. This is the way.
Yes.
It's
that's what you would buy a bottle of pills for.
Absolutely.
In the hopes that it would make you have that day. That's what you would drink a certain drink for, thinking somehow I'm going to be this clear and I'm going to be better in this meeting and I'm going to, I'm going to have enough energy to still feel good for my family at the end of the day, and just, I'm going to want to wake up and go to the gym in the morning. And at the end of the day, the balance of nutrients actually provides all of that. And so after that first month, that's what I'm really trying to get someone to a point to where they can say that they feel that, because if you truly feel
that, you will stick with it.
Yep.
You will stick with it because it is enough. Like, that's enough to keep a person inspired. You know, it actually, they're like, oh no, I want to see how much better I can feel tomorrow. And that's what we start chasing after. And they get that concept or that feeling of just sort of like that high of just how great their life can be, how clear they can be, how energized they can be. That's worth just staying away from the toxic ingredients. And this is what we help you do at Integrity. We have a 6-month nutrition program that we can tell you exactly what to eat, where to buy it from, how to prepare it, what to order when you eat out, and really get you on track to feeling your very best every day. For more information on that program, please take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. And for nutrient-dense, gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. Everybody, great to be back with you. This is Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3 in the studio with John Morris and David Moore. David, we're talking about your experience with the Integrity Training Systems nutrition program, and I love how you said to follow the plan as if it is your only plan and only option. And also that you said humility maximizes accountability. Talk to me a little bit about that. I love to follow the plan as if it's your only plan.
Well, okay, so you have a discipline and a strength in your life, in your program, in your culture, at Integrity. So I had a deficit of that in my life. So to recognize that, okay, I want that strength in my life, I have to humble myself and say, you know what, I need to change, and this is how I'm going to change. And part of that first step was to say, I need help. I have like a food addiction.
Right.
I felt totally out of control.
Right.
No discipline at all. And I'm like, okay, I got to get some discipline in my life to see this vision that I have before me of being in great shape, feeling great. So that element of accountability, I knew that would create a conduit, a bridge to acquiring disciplines in my life, is if I humbled myself and recognized you are a leader in this area. Right. You guys lead in this area. That creates that bridge to me to tap into some power for my life to get traction towards this vision of being healthy. So that humility is expressed in a lot of ways. It's saying no to myself when I'm tempted to eat poorly. You know, recognizing I don't want to go down that path again because I did that for years.
Right.
The humility is expressed by saying, hey, Debbie, I'm a little tempted. Could you help me out here?
Yes.
So the support is so effective.
Right.
There's a support infrastructure there that helps you stay on the path.
Yes.
And then, you know, I'd say the humility where it's just tough to say no sometimes when people are going out and eating some fun foods.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't mean I can't ever have those again in my life, but I'm really at a point where I don't really want them, especially on a daily basis.
Sure.
Now, a special occasion may be different, but, you know, just recognizing that humility to say, I need some help in this area, will help open up the door for that first step of making a change, and that will give you power for the next step and power for the step after that until you really start getting momentum and traction towards the vision. Today, someone brought some really bougie donuts to the office, okay? These donuts are like super special. They're from a really, you know, eclectic donut place, okay?
Right.
And I was like, okay, I got to get it together quick because I feel like I'm waffling right here. No pun intended with waffles. But, you know, I started to meditate on the momentum that I have already acquired in my life that you guys have helped me with. So it was like, you know what? Not saying I'll never have a donut again.
Right.
It's not like this religious, like, you know,
Don't.
crazy town
Right,
stuff.
right.
But it was like, you know what? I'm enjoying broccoli way better than donuts right now.
That's
so
right.
I want to stay on the broccoli path.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Well, you also know what links to those donuts, okay? So there's this pleasure list and there's this pain list. And you have a pretty long pain list that you walked in with, right? Like, literally physical pain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, in several areas, and then you have some mental, pain that struggles, and then just all of these things list, and there's a lot of really bad foods that correspond to all of that, right? But then you're starting to build this pleasure list, and that pleasure list is like, hey, when I do eat broccoli and green beans and some chicken and some fish and, some fruit and some eggs, I actually feel energized and I feel clear and I feel focused and I feel strong at the gym and I don't have pain in my back and I'm becoming more flexible. So you see the donuts, and then the donuts are either, they're throwing up a red alert of, there's definitely some pain associated with that donut, and I lived too many years with that pain, and I'm just not really ready to throw myself back into that for that donut. Now, again, like you said, there may be a special occasion that truly might be worth having it, and you may wake up the next day in pain, and it might last a couple days, and your weight might go up a little bit. We don't want to suffer the pain of regret. We want to accept the fact that we did it, then we move on strong. You know what I mean? We move on strong. But I just think what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I've got a scale here, and right now that donut, it could open the door to so much more pain than the pleasure that I think it's going to give me. But yet when I'm on vacation and I'm at this incredible place and the view is amazing and the sunset is incredible and my entire family and my greatest friends are surrounding me, like, of course I'm going to eat that baked whatever, and I'm going to enjoy every living bite of that, and everyone at the table, we're going to talk about how moist it is and how crunchy it is and how soft it is and how sweet it is, right? And we're going to enjoy every minute of it.
Right.
And we're all going to come home, and for weeks we're going to be talking about how good it was.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what? You still might wake up on vacation the next day with a backache. You may wake up with a headache. You may wake up with sugar cravings, and there may be nothing you can do to shake it, but you went into it with the mindset that is a balanced mindset. You're accepting of what that result is going to be. If we start doing that on an every other day basis or every couple day basis, we lose our balance. We lose the ability to stay kind of afloat.
It's true.
I feel like, I've been doing this for about a decade now. You've been doing it for 2.5 times that, and I know you deal with this, and I see it very regularly as well. One thing that clients will say pretty consistently is, well, I don't want to not be able to enjoy life. I don't want to not be able to enjoy myself. And what they're actually talking about is food. It's actually food. They're saying life. They're saying enjoy myself. But when we're having a conversation, what I've brought up that spurred that response is not having bad food. And it's interesting because, to your point, you've hit this place in your mind where you say, I'm enjoying the momentum. I'm enjoying how I'm feeling. And getting people to recognize that you are actually robbing yourself of that joy with the food is really difficult. And sometimes I'll have people do what Deb just said. I will make them write a physical list of the pains and the pleasures.
Yeah.
And it's like the pleasure of food in and of itself, not in an environment like Deb just spoke of with friends and family on vacation, etc., in your own kitchen alone or wherever you may be that you find yourself wanting the substance, the pleasure is very minimal there. You're getting the enjoyment for a second, a minute, whatever it may be of the food, but what is the repercussion of that? And so finding a way to convince yourself, having the strength, having the humility to accept that you may have a situation where you're going to have trouble giving credit to food where credit is due and has some control, and accepting that, yes, you don't want to give up that maybe forever. To your point, maybe there's a day that comes that you have a bougie donut, but that's going to be the moment that you allow it to happen, not the moment that the donut allows it to happen.
So good. That's
you actually have the power to say no to that because you understand the joy that you are having without it.
That's so good, not having the donut. I mean, but truly, in that moment, I really think that's what you did, David, is you basically said, food has had control over me for how many years now? I'm actually going to take control.
Yep.
And I'm enjoying the broccoli.
Yep.
Just like I could have that donut, but I actually don't need that donut for the first time in my life. And that was probably a reward in itself, was just to have the feeling like, I actually don't need that donut right now. And sometimes if you really try to get to the bottom of what people are really chasing with that food, what they're covering up with those foods, it's some deep stuff.
Yep.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's panic before a meeting. It's I'm not as prepared as I think I should be. It's I'm in a horrible relationship and I had a horrible argument with someone, or it's you know, I've experienced great loss and I'm trying to overcome that. Like, there's real emotion behind why people are choosing to eat this bad food every day. And a lot of times we'll, you know, in the sort of the wellness community, they'll say the word balance. Like, well, we want to make sure we stay balanced. And I always say, you know, balance of poisonous ingredients is still poison to your body.
Right.
So just make sure it makes sense to balance those ingredients in your body. Are you okay with being poisoned, even in a balanced way?
Right.
But is there balance when you're reaching for the food and there's an emotion connected to that food? You basically bound that by saying to that donut, nah, not today. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to feel clear today. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yet on vacation, when it was this awesome experience, that was balanced because that experience didn't own you.
That's right.
You owned it, and you got to celebrate it for many months to come.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just think I have a tremendous passion for people that are truly bound by food. Just like any stronghold, right? Any stronghold that we try to prey off someone, food is such a stronghold for folks. And so could you speak to anyone out there that, again, it's just over them. It's over them, and it's like a weight that they just can't lift off of them. Could you just inspire them? You know, 2 minutes of inspiration of what it could take to get that stronghold broken.
Yeah, so I do want to mention that I'm 45 pounds lighter.
That's awesome.
6 months later and counting, and I'm on this path. And I'd say, like me, I felt absolutely hopeless. I felt powerless. I prayed. I asked the Lord, I don't know what this path looks like, but help me with this. You guys came along, and I think it's so important that there really isn't anything in life that is not a team effort.
Right.
Who can take all the credit for every great thing that's ever happened in their life?
That's right.
Really, when you break it down, it was a team effort for everything. So surrounding yourself with the right team.
Right.
In this scenario with the health journey, you guys are my team. Your culture has helped add value to my life to keep the momentum going forward for the vision that I have in my. And I think if you just reach out, if you pray, for those that pray, or if you don't pray, I dare you to pray.
Right.
God loves when we go to Him, even when we just need a favor.
That's right. That's right.
There's a Jelly Roll song that talks about Him just praying when you need a favor. And I'm like,
That's
you know
right.
what, man? Our Heavenly Father loves us so much, He doesn't care why we come to Him. Just
right.
go to Him. So,
That's
so do that.
Right.
Open up your heart and do that. That will help, whatever the addiction may be. And I think if it's food, then reach out to Debbie, reach out to John, Integrity, or take inventory of what in your life will help give you the power to take the first step.
Yes.
Right.
And if you are so determined in your heart, in your mind, and you recognize that first step, if you know you're committed to take all the steps that follow, that are forward, really the steps don't follow, they go forward in the right direction, then I think you will get enough health equity in your life and get that momentum going that you'll see the changes. You will literally see the changes, which will help propel you even forward for more healthy decisions.
That's right.
Great.
And that's what we do. I mean, the idea is to clear your mind so much that you could actually see why that food is pulling you and what you're really medicating for. What is that emotion? Why are you medicating with that food? And then you can actually start to really deal with that hard truth of what you need to work on. Get the food out of the way and actually start to work on those circumstances, and you'll actually experience change. For more information on working with us on a 6-month nutrition program at Integrity, please take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com. For a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, please give us a call at 636-299-2208. And for gluten-free, dairy-free, nutrient-dense baked goods delivered to your door, please take a look at us at sophiesbakery.com. Hi, everybody. This is Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3 in the studio with John Morris and David Moore. And we are wrapping up an awesome show. I'm so excited to have had you on the show, David. Really just explaining what it's like to transform your life with nutrition and how your health can just completely turn around. And what's interesting is a lot of times, our clients will come in and they'll do so well, just like kind of right where you're at, and lose the weight, really start to get the clarity. The inflammation will start to go down. And then before we know it, a special occasion or just something sort of comes up and they decide that they're going to have something. And then wham, it's like it hits them like a ton of bricks.
Right. And what happens is you get to a place in your life where you will actually forget why you came to see us. You'll get to a place where you start to feel so well that it's easy to forget how bad you felt. I mean, I barely even remember being a police officer, and I did it for 7 years. As you get away from something, the memory of it can fade. Yeah, there's specific moments that you may remember, but the overall feeling of when I eat dairy, my stomach hurts, or I get a headache, or when I eat a lot of wheat or gluten, it can make me feel bad for 3 days. You believe that and you know that because you've applied yourself to the process to get away from it, but you get far enough away from how you feel or how you felt that it's easy to forget. And I was talking about on the break about a client of mine who actually journals how she feels every day, especially if she knows she's going to have something outside of her normal parameter or program, because it allows her to go back. She was one of these people that one time told me, before I started eating clean, I really don't think food affected me this bad. And I just stared at her like, what? You came to me to lose 100 pounds and because you were having trouble walking. Like, what do you mean it didn't make you feel that bad? Like, you felt terrible,
right.
And you were sick all of the time. You were always getting chronic illnesses and your stomach always bothered you and you had trouble using the restroom and you had chronic migraines every week. Like, you don't remember that? And she's like, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess I did. Like, what? Yeah, of course you don't. But I remember it because it's what they're paying me for.
Right.
And so it's easy to get away from that and disassociate from that because it's like, why would you want to remember that?
Yeah.
So the healthy food isn't making you have worse reactions to the things that you've had in the past. The things that you've had in the past that you are freeing yourself from, you need to have a memory hit you when you get these feelings. We went on a trip talking about, over the weekend with the Rooted Sisters. It was me and 35 women. It was really funny. I got to hang out with these ladies. Faith-filled event. It was an awesome weekend, and Debbie was a part of that. She was doing some presentation. And we go to this place that was in Branson, and their specialty dessert is peach cobbler with this like vanilla whatever type of ice cream this is. And so I have been gluten-free and dairy-free for a while. I mean, in the last decade, I've done it, the majority of the time. But, once every couple of weeks, I might let myself have something. Well, it's been this year I have been more locked into my food than I have in my entire life. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to have this. I'm going to go ahead and let myself have this and experience it. And to the point that Deb made in the second segment, it was great. I enjoyed it. It was good company. I sat and enjoyed the bites. I didn't just slam it down. I, took my time with it. But I had a migraine the next day, and my stomach hurt. And I had to accept that was a repercussion of the action that I chose to take.
Right.
Remembering that these addictions, these things that are weighing us down, they don't go away just because we get away from them. When we get back into them, they can still have that same negative effect on us.
Right.
Yeah, I think the concern is if you couldn't make the choice at Top of the Rock, if you're in a situation where you're like, I have to have the peach cobbler.
Yes.
I can't not have the peach cobbler.
Right.
There's no way I can be at Top of the Rock and not have peach cobbler.
And I've been that guy. I mean, there was a point in time, even in my health as a gym owning personal trainer, there's been a time in my life of doing that where I had to have my off meal on Mondays. I had myself convinced that I had to have that. And I was dealing with chronic illnesses every 5-6 weeks.
I mean,
and it would be bronchitis, it would be pneumonia. I mean, it was legitimate illnesses.
Right.
I get myself away from the things that I was allowing myself to have, and I can go 3 or 4 months without getting sick because my immune system isn't battling this stuff regularly.
It's true.
I had to get to a place where I controlled the food; it wasn't controlling me.
That's right. And you're not taking Imitrex because you're having migraines all the time, but not acknowledging the fact that you're having the migraines all the time because you're eating popcorn and because you're drinking soda and because you're having dessert and because this and that and that. So it's just, okay, you decided to have it at Top of the Rock, you had a great time, and then honestly you even got a little bit of an additional wisdom moment on Sunday where it reminded you of how great you felt all the days prior and really kind of why you want to stick with your food.
Right.
You got to enjoy the experience,
Right.
but it also you got this wisdom of why do I want to continue to do this? And I know, David, that you still have some weight that you want to lose, so you have to stay the course.
Yep.
You have to stay committed.
Yep.
And a lot of times what happens is people rest before the mission is complete. Jocko Willink talks about that
Yeah.
in his book, Discipline Equals Freedom. And I always say, just watch yourself because you'll get kind of cute with it because you're like, I'm down 40 pounds. I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe I could have a little dark chocolate every day. I mean, why not throw that in every day? I'm doing good. I'm 40 pounds down. And then all of a sudden the door slams shut to weight loss.
Yep.
You can't lose it anymore.
Yeah.
Because now you're not, you're not on the same plan. And then people will come in and say, well, I think that what do they say? I've hit a plateau. And it's like, well, no, you haven't hit a plateau. You're not on the plan anymore.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I'm on the plan. It's just I have a little bit of dark chocolate.
You're not on the plan.
And then on the weekend, I have a little bit of this. And it's like, well, that's not the plan.
Right.
The plan that really worked for those 40 pounds was this plan.
Yep.
And so you just can't, you can't be disappointed if you do have that slowdown.
Yeah. Yeah, when you were speaking on the discomforts, the pain, the cost analysis of
Yes,
this
that's so
program.
good, yes. Yeah.
When you're considering the cost, I was riddled with pain, intestinal discomfort, mental cloudiness.
Right.
I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
And that's how I lived every day.
Right.
I tried to counterbalance that with caffeine or whatever, just thinking,
Yes.
oh man, those spikes, those sugar spikes, make you feel great for a second, but the downward trend is going downward.
Right.
I was going down a path that was really just kept going down.
Yes.
Right.
But the long range, curve of this thing, really you start to feel better and better and better, and it has a compounding interest impact on your life.
Yes.
Where it begins to hockey stick, where
That's
you're
right.
like, whew, I'm feeling good.
Yes.
I don't want to trade this for anything.
Right.
And that will parlay into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Right, and that's so good you say that about the food, the sugar. I always compare it to drugs. I mean, it's literally a hit.
Yeah.
When you take that energy drink in, or you have to have that, thing of candy or that muffin or that donut or whatever, you're taking a hit. I was addicted to painkillers. I was addicted to antidepressants. I've been addicted to alcohol. I drank a case of beer every day. I was able to quit all of that. I don't think about any of that anymore, but I still think about food from time to time.
Yeah.
And so acknowledging that you have to get control over that is huge. And I wanted to add this real quick before we wrap up here. Our pastor said this on Sunday, and I just loved it. I don't even remember what he was talking about, to be honest, but I just wrote this down. He says, if you want to do something, you find a way. And if you don't want to do something, you find an excuse.
Yes.
And so I think what it comes down to is you have to really ask yourself how much you want what you're asking for, that
Yes,
change. How
it's
much
the
do you
truth.
really want the health?
Mm-hmm.
How much do you really want to feel better? How much do you really want to lose the weight? And do you want it enough to not let yourself make an excuse? And I think that lends itself to what you were talking about with the humility. Just coming to a place where you can humble yourself and say, I'm going to need some help with this. I'm going to need to be able to take this to the next level. And I know that I'm not going to be able to do it alone.
That's right. Praise God that you did it, David. We're so thankful.
Yeah.
We're so happy that we were able to help you, and we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Well, thank you. It's really, I feel so fortunate and honored to have this discussion today. And my hope and prayer is that anyone listening would get energized and encouraged that they can do it too.
Absolutely. That's the prayer, is that you feel like you can take steps in the right direction. Of course, we would love for you to work with us, but the key is just that we'd really like for you to start making some changes. Transformation is a process, and it's going to take a lot of great decisions, it all coming together, but it starts with one decision. For David, it started with one decision to humble himself and say, I can't do this on my own. I'm out of control. I need help. And then we stepped in and we provided that help. And that is what we do at Integrity. For more information on how we can help you, please take a look at us at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. And for gluten-free, dairy-free, nutrient-dense baked goods delivered to your doorstep, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. Thank you all so much for listening, and God bless you.